Hi everybody. Before we start the story, please click the like button and subscribe to our channel. Also, tell us in the comments where you are watching from and what time it is. If you do that, YouTube will keep showing you more stories like this one. Okay, let's start now. The exit sign read Martin's Creek, 1 mile, for the 7th time, and Sarah knew something was fundamentally wrong with Interstate 43. She'd been watching her odometer tick forward, watching the white dashed lines disappear under her Honda's hood at exactly 67 miles per hour, but that same green sign kept appearing every 3 minutes. Not similar signs, the same sign. She knew because of the bullet hole in the bottom right corner, shaped like a star. Her phone had died 2 hours ago. The car charger sparked and went dead 30 minutes after that. The last text she'd sent was to her sister. Taking the scenic route through Nebraska. See you tomorrow. That was 6 hours ago. The sun hadn't moved. It hung in the same position above the horizon, a bloated red thing that looked more like an infected wound than a sunset. Sarah checked her watch. 7:43 p.m. She looked again 5 minutes later. 7:43 p.m. The highway stretched empty in both directions. She hadn't seen another car since the gas station in Elkhorn, where the attendant had stared at her with eyes that didn't blink quite right, pupils too large for the fluorescent lighting. He'd said something when she left, something she couldn't quite hear, but the tone had been wrong. Warning, apology. She dismissed it then. She wasn't dismissing anything now. Martin's Creek, 1 mile, the bullet hole star. Sarah's hands tightened on the steering wheel. Her palms were sweating despite the air conditioning blasting cold enough to make her shiver. She tried the radio again, static on every station except one, and that one played the same 3 seconds of a song on loop. A woman's voice singing, "Turn around, turn around, turn around," before cutting back to the beginning. Sarah snapped it off. The silence was better. The silence was worse. She'd tried turning around 15 minutes ago. Put the car in the grass median, did a full 180, headed back the way she came. The road looked identical. Same cracked asphalt, same brown grass on the shoulders, same absence of anything living. And then, impossibly, the sign appeared ahead of her. Martin's Creek, 1 mile, bullet hole star. She was traveling in the opposite direction, but the exit was still 1 mile away, still ahead of her. The mathematics of it made her head hurt, made something deeper than her head hurt. Some part of her brain that understood geometry and physics was screaming that this couldn't happen, that space didn't work this way. But the evidence was undeniable. She was caught in a loop, a mile that repeated, a mile that shouldn't exist. Sarah pulled onto the shoulder, gravel crunching under her tires. She put the car in park and sat there, breathing hard, watching the red sun that wouldn't set. Her logical mind tried to work through explanations. Fatigue, hallucination, carbon monoxide leak. But her gas gauge read 3/4 full. It had read 3/4 full for the past hour despite constant driving. And she felt alert, painfully alert, every nerve-ending singing with fear-sharpened awareness. She got out of the car. The air smelled wrong, like old copper and something chemical she couldn't identify. The highway stretched away in both directions, heat shimmer rising from the asphalt, even though the temperature felt cold against her skin. No buildings, no trees, just brown grass and that road and the sign promising Martin's Creek in 1 mile. That's when Sarah noticed her shadow. It fell wrong. The sun was ahead of her and to the left, so her shadow should stretch behind and right. But it stretched toward the sun instead, toward the light. She moved her arm experimentally. The shadow moved. But it moved a half-second too late, like there was lag between her body and her shadow's response. A sound reached her then, distant but growing closer. An engine. A car. Relief flooded through her so intensely her knees went weak. Another person, someone who could confirm she wasn't insane, that this was happening, that they could figure this out together. She turned toward the sound, watching the horizon. The car appeared. A blue sedan. Familiar. Too familiar. As it approached, Sarah's relief curdled into ice water in her stomach. She knew that car, the dent in the front bumper, the parking permit hanging from the rearview mirror, the air freshener she'd bought 3 days ago. It was her car, her Honda. Driving toward her at exactly 67 miles per hour. She could see the driver, see herself. Hair pulled back in the same ponytail, same gray t-shirt, same expression of confused fear. The other Sarah, the one still driving, wasn't looking at her. Was staring straight ahead at the road, both hands on the wheel, completely unaware that her double stood on the shoulder watching her pass. The car went by. Sarah spun, watching it continue down the highway, watching herself drive away. The taillights glowed red. The car shrank with distance, and then it reached the sign. Martin's Creek, 1 mile. The car passed it. The car disappeared. Not gradually, just gone. Between 1 second and the next, the vehicle simply ceased to exist, winking out of reality like a light being switched off. Sarah's legs gave out. She sat hard on the gravel, small stones digging into her palms. Her mind was fracturing around the edges, trying to process the impossible. If that was her, still driving, still trapped in the loop, then what did that make her? The original, a copy. How many times had she driven past herself, unseeing? How many Sarahs were scattered along this mile of highway, all of them convinced they were the real one? She looked at her hands. They looked solid, real. She bit her lip hard enough to taste blood. The pain felt genuine. But that other Sarah had looked real too, had probably bitten her lip and tasted blood and thought the same desperate thoughts. The sun hadn't moved. 7:43 p.m. Martin's Creek, 1 mile. Sarah stood up. She walked to her car, to the car. Whoever's car it actually was. She got in and put her hands on the steering wheel and made a decision. She would drive forward. She would drive through the sign. She would see what happened when you reached the exit that was always 1 mile away. She pulled back onto the highway, accelerated to 67 miles per hour. The sign grew closer. Her speedometer held steady. Her odometer ticked upward. 0.7 miles, 0.8, 0.9, 1.0. The sign was right there. Martin's Creek, 1 mile. Bullet hole star. She was passing it now, right now. This second. And then she was through it, beyond it, and the world lurched. Everything tilted 45 degrees. The highway suddenly ran vertical instead of horizontal. Sarah was driving up a wall. Gravity pressed her back into the seat. Her stomach dropped. The engine screamed. She couldn't stop. Her foot wasn't on the gas, but the car was accelerating, climbing this impossible vertical road. The brown grass now spreading out below her, like she was looking down from a plane. The red sun split open. It's the only way she could describe it. Split like a wound, and something looked out from inside it. Something with too many eyes arranged in spirals. Something that saw her. Sarah screamed. The car reached the top of the vertical highway, crested it, and suddenly she was driving normally again. Flat road, horizontal. Everything correct except nothing was correct. And there, ahead of her, was the sign. Martin's Creek, 1 mile, bullet hole star. Her odometer read the same number it had read an hour ago. Her gas gauge showed 3/4 full. The sun hung in the exact same position. 7:43 p.m. And in her rearview mirror, she could see another car approaching. A blue Honda. Herself. Still driving. Still trapped. Sarah tried to scream again, but no sound came out. Her throat worked, but the air was wrong, too thick, and she realized with dawning horror that she couldn't remember what her sister's name was. Couldn't remember where she'd been driving to or from. Couldn't remember anything except this mile of highway and the sign and the bullet hole shaped like a star. She checked her phone. Dead. But before the screen went black, she saw the text messages. Dozens of them. Hundreds. All to the same number. All saying the same thing. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. I'm stuck. All sent from her phone. All from different times, different dates, spanning back weeks, months, years. The phone slipped from her numb fingers. Martin's Creek, 1 mile. The sign approached, the bullet hole star. And Sarah drove on, knowing she would drive past it. Knowing she would reach it in 1 mile, knowing she would never reach it at all. The mile was infinite. The mile was eternal. The mile was all there was, all there had ever been, all there would ever be. She looked in her rearview mirror. The car behind her was getting closer. She could see the driver's face. Her face. Eyes wide with fear, mouth open. And Sarah realized, with the kind of clarity that comes in nightmares, that the Sarah behind her was watching another car ahead. Watching another version of herself drive endlessly forward. How many were there? How many Sarahs stretched along this impossible mile, each one following the previous, each one believing she was real, each one trapped forever in this loop of road and sun and sign. The sun split open again. The eyes inside spiraled and multiplied. And somewhere in what remained of Sarah's fragmenting mind, she understood. This wasn't a loop. It was digestion. The highway was eating her, slowly, consuming her reality mile by mile, moment by moment, until nothing remained but the drive itself. Martin's Creek, 1 mile. She would reach it soon. In 1 mile. Forever. Marcus picked up the hitchhiker against every instinct screaming in his gut, but the man was bleeding. You don't leave someone bleeding on the side of Highway 12 at 2 in the morning, not when the nearest hospital is 60 miles away and the temperature is dropping toward freezing. The man's thumb was out, his other hand pressed against his side, where dark liquid soaked through his jacket. His face, pale in Marcus's headlights, held an expression of desperate gratitude. Marcus pulled over. Unlock the passenger door. How bad? He called out. The man stumbled to the car, collapsed into the seat. Got jumped at the rest stop. Knife. I think it's bad. His voice was rough, pained. Real. Everything about him seemed real, except for one detail Marcus's brain flagged, but couldn't quite process in the moment. The man cast no shadow, despite the dome light blazing overhead. Hospitals in Crater Falls, Marcus said, already accelerating. Hold on. The man nodded, kept his hand pressed to his side. Blood was definitely seeping through, dark and viscous. Marcus cranked the heat. The man was shivering. Shock, probably. Marcus had basic first aid training from his years in construction. Keep the victim warm. Keep them talking. Don't let them lose consciousness. What's your name? Marcus asked. The man's head lolled. James. James Riverton. I'm Marcus. You're going to be fine, James. Just stay with me. Stay with you, James repeated. His voice was strange. Flat. Yes, I'll stay. They drove in silence for 5 minutes. Marcus kept checking on his passenger. James sat unnaturally still, hand pressed to his side, staring straight ahead. Not moving, not even seeming to breathe. Marcus's unease grew. Something was wrong beyond the obvious injury. Something felt deeply, fundamentally off. You got family? Marcus asked, trying to keep conversation going. Someone I can call? James turned his head. The movement was too smooth, like it was on a bearing. Family. Yes. Had a wife. Elizabeth. 2 kids, Sarah and Michael. Had? The past tense registered wrong. The accident, James said. 3 years ago. Black ice on Highway 12. Right around mile marker 67. Car went off the embankment. Everyone died. Everyone but me. He paused. No, that's not right. Everyone died. Everyone. Marcus's hands tightened on the wheel. You survived, though. You're here. Am I? James asked. He looked down at the blood on his hand, held it up to the light. The blood was wrong. Too dark, almost black, and it wasn't flowing anymore. Just sitting there, static, like paint. Am I here, Marcus? The temperature in the car dropped 20 degrees in an instant. Marcus's breath fogged. Ice formed on the inside of the windshield in spiraling fractal patterns. The heater blasted, but put out no warmth. James turned to look at him fully, and Marcus saw that James's eyes were completely black. No whites, no iris, just solid black from lid to lid. You need to let me out, Marcus said. His voice came out strangled. Can't stop, James said. Have to get to the hospital. That's what you said. Have to get there. Have to stay with you. You told me to stay. Marcus's foot moved to the brake. James's hand shot out and gripped his wrist. The touch was ice cold, burning cold, wrong cold. Marcus yanked his hand back, swerved, overcorrected. The car fishtailed, but he regained control. James sat unmoved, still staring with those impossible black eyes. What are you? Marcus gasped. Dead, James said simply. Been dead for 3 years. 3 years on Highway 12. But people keep picking me up, keep trying to help. And I have to go with them, have to stay. It's the rules. Marcus looked at the odometer. Mile marker 65, 66, approaching 67. The accident, he whispered. That's where I died, James finished. Where my wife screamed as we went over. Where Sarah, who was 5, called for me. Where Michael, who was 7, died on impact. Where I bled out in the driver's seat, while Elizabeth took 43 minutes to finally stop breathing. Mile marker 67 appeared in the headlights. The car began to pull left. Marcus gripped the wheel hard, fighting it, but the vehicle moved of its own accord. Toward the shoulder, toward the embankment. No, Marcus said. No, no, no. It's the rules, James repeated. His face was sad now, human, almost apologetic. Someone stopped for me. Someone showed kindness. That kindness has a price. Every kindness on Highway 12 has a price. The wheel turned under Marcus's hands. He stomped the brake. Nothing. The pedal went to the floor. The car accelerated toward the guardrail, toward the embankment, toward the place where James Riverton and his family had died 3 years ago on a night of black ice and bad timing. I'm sorry, James said. I tried to warn you. The blood, the cold, no shadow, but people never see, never understand until it's too late. Marcus threw open his door. The car was doing 45 miles per hour, but he didn't care. He jumped, hit the asphalt rolling. Pain exploded through his shoulder, his hip. He tumbled across the highway, came to a stop in the grass on the far shoulder. Looked up in time to see his car, his Ford pickup that he'd had for 9 years, crash through the guardrail at mile marker 67 and disappear over the embankment. The sound of the crash echoed, metal on rock, glass shattering. Then silence. Marcus lay there, breathing hard, body screaming with pain. But alive. He was alive. He forced himself to stand, limped to the broken guardrail, looked down. The embankment was steep, rocky, dropping away into darkness. No sign of his truck, no fire, no wreckage visible. Just darkness. Marcus's phone had survived the fall. Cracked screen, but functional. No signal. Of course, no signal. He was in the middle of nowhere. He started walking, back the way he'd come, back toward anything resembling civilization. He'd gone maybe half a mile when he saw headlights approaching. A sedan, slowing, pulling over. The window rolled down. A woman's face, concerned and kind. "Are you okay?" she called. "Do you need help?" Marcus opened his mouth to answer, to warn her, to tell her not to stop, never stop on Highway 12. Never show kindness here because kindness has a price. But before he could speak, he felt it, the cold, the ice forming in his lungs. He looked down at his hands and saw the blood, his blood, from the road rash, from the impact. Too dark, almost black, not flowing, static like paint. "I was in an accident," Marcus heard himself say. "Mile marker 67, I need to get to a hospital." The woman's face filled with sympathy. "Get in, hospital's in Crater Falls. You'll be okay." Marcus walked to the car, sat in the passenger seat, felt the warmth of the heater that would soon turn to bitter cold. The woman drove. She kept looking at him with concern, kept asking if he was okay, kept promising they'd be there soon. Marcus pressed his hand to his side where the pain was, felt the blood, looked at his reflection in the passenger window and saw his eyes, solid black from lid to lid, no whites, no iris. "What's your name?" the woman asked. "James," Marcus said. No, that wasn't right. Marcus Webb. "I'm Jennifer. You're going to be fine, Marcus. Just stay with me." "Stay with you," Marcus repeated. "Yes, I'll stay." Mile marker 65 passed, then 66. Marcus watched the numbers count up, watched 67 approach. The car began to pull left. Jennifer gripped the wheel, confused. Marcus wanted to warn her, wanted to scream. But his mouth wouldn't form the words. The rules wouldn't let him. Someone had stopped for him, had shown kindness. That kindness had a price. Jennifer's eyes went wide as the car turned toward the guardrail, toward the embankment, toward the place where James Riverton had died 3 years ago, and where Marcus Webb had died 20 minutes ago, and where Jennifer Chen would die in approximately 30 seconds. The car crashed through. Marcus felt the weightless moment of falling, heard Jennifer scream, felt the impact, then darkness, then standing on Highway 12 with his thumb out, bleeding from a wound that would never heal, waiting for the next kind soul to stop. This was mile marker 67. This was Highway 12. And Marcus understood now, with the perfect clarity of the dead, that he would stand here forever, would be picked up forever, would lead kind people to their deaths forever. Because someone had stopped for James Riverton 3 years ago, had shown him kindness, and that first death had created the loop. One death feeding another, feeding another. How many were there now? How many ghosts stood on Highway 12 with their thumbs out, bleeding wounds that never healed, eyes that had gone black, waiting for kindness so they could pass on the curse? Marcus's thumb went out, his hand pressed against his side. A truck approached, began to slow. The driver's face, concerned and kind, visible through the windshield. Marcus tried to drop his hand, tried to wave them on. But the rules were absolute. The rules were eternal. The truck pulled over. The window rolled down. "You okay? Do you need help?" And Marcus, who had been kind once, who had stopped because it was the right thing to do, who had died for his compassion, opened his mouth and spoke the words that would doom another soul. "I was in an accident. Mile marker 67. I need to get to a hospital." The rest stop on Interstate 90 wasn't on Denise's GPS. She'd been monitoring it obsessively for the past 40 minutes, desperately needing a bathroom, watching the little blue dot crawl across the digital map. No rest stops indicated for 73 miles. But here one was, materializing out of the darkness like a gift. A parking lot, a building, sodium lights turning everything orange. Denise pulled in. 2 a.m. Empty parking lot except for an 18-wheeler at the far end and a minivan near the building. Normal. Everything looked completely normal. She parked near the entrance, grabbed her purse, and headed for the restrooms. The building was older than she expected. Concrete block construction, institutional bathroom tiles, the smell of industrial cleaner, and something else. Something organic and wrong that she couldn't identify. The women's room was empty. 3 stalls. Denise chose the middle one, locked herself in. That's when she heard the footsteps, heavy boots on tile, in the women's restroom. Denise froze. The footsteps stopped at the stall next to hers, the one on the right. She could see boots under the divider. Work boots, brown, crusted with something dark. "Excuse me," Denise called out. "This is the women's room." No response. The boots didn't move. Denise felt fear prickle up her spine. She finished quickly, quietly, not flushing. Stood. The boots in the next stall turned, facing her now, still not moving, just standing there. Facing her direction through the metal divider. Denise backed toward the door of her stall, unlocked it slowly. The boots stepped forward in the next stall. 1 step, 2, until they were pressed against the divider. And then Denise saw it, saw what should have been impossible. The boots were pushing through the metal, not breaking through, phasing through. Like the metal divider wasn't solid at all. She ran, threw open the stall door and bolted for the exit. Behind her, she heard the crash of a stall door being kicked open, heard those boots pounding after her. Denise burst out of the bathroom into the main building and stopped dead. The building had changed. The hallway stretched impossibly long now, receding into darkness. The exit signs glowed red but distant, so distant, like looking down a tunnel. The door she'd entered through was gone. The wall was solid concrete where it should have been glass entrance doors. The boots entered the hallway behind her. Denise turned. The figure wearing them wasn't human, couldn't be human. It wore a man's shape like an ill-fitting suit, too tall, joints bending at wrong angles. Face obscured by shadow despite the overhead lights, and it was reaching for her with hands that had too many fingers. Denise ran toward the distant exit sign. Her footsteps echoed. The hallway didn't get shorter. She ran, and the sign stayed the same distance away, glowing red, mocking her. Behind her, the boots kept pace, never hurrying, never stopping, just walking steadily, inevitably, getting closer with each impossible step. Doors appeared along the hallway. Unmarked doors, metal, institutional. Denise grabbed a handle. Locked. The next one. Locked. The boots were close now. She could hear breathing. Wet. Labored. Wrong. She yanked another handle, and this one opened. Denise threw herself through, slammed the door, locked it. Found herself in another bathroom, identical to the first. 3 stalls, industrial tile, that same organic wrong smell but stronger now, much stronger. She backed away from the door. The handle rattled. The boots thing was testing it. Then she saw the stalls. The middle one was occupied. She could see feet under the door, women's shoes, sneakers. The same sneakers Denise was wearing, the same brand, the same scuffs on the toes. The stall door hung open slightly. Denise approached it with dread crystallizing in her stomach, pushed it open, and saw herself. Saw her own body slumped against the toilet, head at a wrong angle, neck broken, eyes open and glassy. Dead. She was looking at her own corpse. Denise's mind reeled. Impossible. She was here. She was alive. She was looking at herself dead. This couldn't be real. The door behind her exploded inward. The boots thing filled the doorway. And Denise understood with sickening clarity that she wasn't going to escape. That this rest stop was a trap. That whatever this place was, it caught people and played with them and ended them. She turned to face it. The thing that had been following her. It stepped into the bathroom and the lights flickered. In the strobing illumination, she saw its face. No face, just a void, a darkness where features should be. And from that darkness came a voice like grinding metal. "You stopped. You entered. You're ours now." Denise looked for a weapon. Found nothing. The thing advanced. She backed against the sinks. Nowhere to go, nowhere left to run. The thing's too many fingers reached for her throat. And then something strange happened. The fingers passed through her neck, through her body, like she wasn't solid, like she was a ghost. Denise looked down at her hands. They were translucent. She could see through them, see the tile floor through her own flesh. And then she remembered pulling into the rest stop, remembered it not being on her GPS, remembered something she'd forgotten until now, the moment before she parked. The deer that had leaped onto the highway, her swerving, the guardrail, the impact, the windshield exploding inward, the crushing weight on her chest, the blood, so much blood. "No," Denise whispered. "No, I survived. I'm here. I'm in the rest stop." The boots thing tilted its head. "No rest stop," it said. "Just the between, the space where the dying wander before accepting the end. You've been in the between for 7 minutes, looping, trying to find a way back." "I'm not dead," Denise said. But even as she spoke, she felt it, felt the cold, felt her body, her real body, cooling in the driver's seat of her wrecked car somewhere out on Interstate 90. Felt the absence of a heartbeat, felt the nothing that was spreading through her. The bathroom flickered. Through the walls she could see them now, see the others. Dozens of translucent figures wandering the between space. All of them caught in loops, all of them unable to accept that their journeys had ended on dark highways in the middle of nowhere. All of them looking for rest stops and gas stations and help that would never come because there was no help for the dead. "How long?" Denise asked. "How long do we stay here?" The boots thing's void face somehow conveyed sadness. "Until you understand. Until you accept. Some understand quickly. Some never understand. Never accept. They loop forever in the between, driving and stopping and running and dying, over and over, eternally." Denise thought of her body in the stall, her broken-necked corpse that was somehow also sitting in a wrecked car on Interstate 90. Both true, both real. Death wasn't a moment. It was a space, a between, and she'd been caught in it, acting out a false scenario, running from a thing that was trying to help her understand. "I died," she said. The words hurt. Accepting them was agony. The deer, the crash, I died. The bathroom dissolved. Denise stood on Interstate 90. 3 a.m., flashing lights in the distance, an ambulance, police, her car, crumpled against a concrete barrier. EMTs were lifting a sheet-covered body onto a stretcher. Her body. Finally, truly, undeniably her body. The boots thing stood beside her. In this space, outside the loop, it looked different. Less monster, more guide. Its void face had resolved into something almost human, tired, ancient, sad. "What now?" Denise asked. "Now you choose, accept and move on, or reject and loop again. Most loop dozens of times, hundreds. Can't let go of the life they lost, can't accept the end. The between is full of the refusing dead, driving dark highways, looking for rest stops that will take them home." Denise watched the ambulance drive away, watched her life depart in the back of a vehicle she wasn't in. She thought about looping, about waking in her car again, seeing the rest stop again, entering the bathroom again, running again, dying again, forever. I accept, she said. The highway dissolved. Denise stood in a new space, impossible to describe. Not light, not dark, not empty, not full, just different. Fundamentally different from life. The boots thing was gone, but she wasn't alone. She could feel them. Other travelers, other acceptors, moving towards something she couldn't see but could feel, something vast and final. Back on Interstate 90, a rest stop that wasn't on any GPS flickered and disappeared. It would reappear in an hour, a day, a week, whenever the next dying driver needed the between, needed the space to understand. Some would accept, most would loop, and the boots thing would walk its endless rounds, trying to guide the dead toward acceptance, usually failing, always trying. And somewhere in the between, a middle-aged woman named Denise Harmon took her first steps into whatever came after, free of the loop, free of the highway, free of the terrible rest stop that had never been a rest stop at all. But in the between, time was meaningless. And every night, somewhere on Interstate 90, Denise still pulled into that rest stop, still entered that bathroom, still saw her own corpse. Because the between was eternal. The loop was forever. And accepting didn't erase the between. It just meant you understood you were in it. The rest stop appeared. The lights glowed orange. And another car, another driver desperate for a bathroom, another soul who didn't know they'd died 3 miles back, pulled into the parking lot. The loop turned. The between expanded. And the boots thing walked toward the bathroom again, ready to guide another refusing soul through the same dance of denial and acceptance. This was Interstate 90. This was the rest stop that wasn't on any map. This was the between. And it was always, always open. Liam noticed the headlights in his rearview mirror around midnight on Route 7, and they didn't leave for the next 4 hours. Same distance, same brightness, same exact position no matter what Liam did. He'd sped up to 85. The lights maintained distance. He'd slowed to 40. The lights slowed too. Perfect interval, never closer, never farther. Just there. Always there. At first, Liam thought coincidence. Same direction, same destination, whatever. But Route 7 was mostly empty at night, and in 4 hours of driving, he'd taken 7 turns. Random turns. Off the main route onto side roads, through a small town. Back onto Route 7. And the lights followed every turn perfectly, maintained that exact same distance with mathematical precision. Liam's heart rate kicked up. He told himself he was being paranoid, told himself there were logical explanations. But 4 hours was beyond coincidence. 4 hours of perfect following was intentional. Someone was tailing him. Someone who wanted him to know they were tailing him. Otherwise, why maintain such obvious, consistent distance? He tried to see the vehicle. Couldn't make out details beyond the headlights. Standard height, probably a sedan, maybe a SUV. The lights were bright but not blinding. LED, probably. Modern vehicle. That's all he could determine. The lights revealed nothing about the driver, the make, the model. Just those 2 bright points maintaining their perfect interval behind him. Liam's phone sat in the cup holder. He grabbed it, checked the signal. 3 bars, good enough. He could call 911, report a stalker. But report what? A car driving on the same road? That's not a crime. The vehicle wasn't threatening him, wasn't aggressive, was just there. Cops would think he was paranoid. Hell, maybe he was paranoid. He decided to test it. Really test it. There was a turn-off ahead, a dirt road that led to an abandoned quarry. Liam had explored it once in high school, knew it dead-ended after 3 miles. He took the turn without signaling, accelerating onto the dirt road, gravel spraying. His eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. The lights turned with him, onto the dirt road, maintaining distance. "Okay," Liam said aloud. "Okay, that's not coincidence." He drove faster, the car bouncing over ruts, headlights cutting through darkness and trees. The quarry road was narrow, barely maintained, not a route anyone took by accident. And behind him, those lights kept perfect pace, never gaining, never falling back. Just there. The road dead-ended at the old quarry gate. Chain-link fence, rusted, no trespassing signs. Liam stopped. Put the car in park, heart hammering now. The lights behind him stopped too. Same distance, maybe 100 yards back. Just sitting there, illuminating the trees, the road, nothing else. Liam watched. 30 seconds. A minute. 2. Neither car moved. This was insane. Who was this? What did they want? Why follow him for 4 hours just to stop and wait? He flashed his high beams. On, off, on, off. Universal signal for "I see you." The lights behind him responded, flashed back. On, off, on, off. Acknowledgement. They knew he knew. They wanted him to know they knew he knew. This was deliberate. This was a message. But what message? What did they want? Liam's hand went to his door handle. He could get out, confront them, demand answers. But every horror movie he'd ever seen, every true crime documentary, every ounce of survival instinct screamed against that. Don't get out of the car. Don't confront unknown stalkers on abandoned roads at midnight. That's how people died. He put the car in reverse. If he couldn't go forward, he'd go back. Force them to move. Force a confrontation on his terms, or at least on a road where other people might pass by. He started reversing, watching the lights in front of him now. They'd become front lights since he was backing toward them. The other car reversed too, maintaining distance. Perfectly. Like they were magnetically repelled, an exact interval that couldn't be closed or widened. Liam reversed faster. They matched speed. He slammed the brakes. They stopped instantly. Same distance, always the same distance. This wasn't human reaction time. Nobody could match movements that precisely. There was lag in human perception, in decision-making, in mechanical response. But this was instant. Perfect. Like the other car was an extension of his own vehicle. Like they were connected. Liam turned around in his seat, looking back through the rear window as he reversed. He tried to see the driver, tried to see anything. But his own headlights only illuminated the road, and the following car stayed just beyond that circle of light. Darkness and headlights, nothing more. He reached the main road, Route 7, swung back onto it, shifted into drive, punched the accelerator. His 4-cylinder engine screamed, 50, 60, 70 miles per hour. The lights followed, same distance, like they were tethered, like the interval was a physical rod connecting the vehicles. "What do you want?" Liam shouted. His voice sounded small in the car, swallowed by engine noise and fear. His phone rang. The sound made him jump so hard he swerved, overcorrected, steadied. The phone showed unknown number. Liam's blood went cold. He picked up, said nothing. Listened. Breathing on the other end. Just breathing. Then a voice, distorted, gender indeterminate. "You can't outrun it." "Outrun what? Who is this?" "You went somewhere you shouldn't have. Saw something you shouldn't have seen. Now it follows. It will always follow. Until it's time." "I don't know what you're talking about," Liam said. But even as he spoke, something nagged at his memory. 3 days ago. The rest stop. The restroom. Walking in on something. A door that should have been locked wasn't. A room that shouldn't have been there, behind the janitor's closet. And inside that room, Liam's hands shook on the wheel. He'd convinced himself he'd imagined it. Stress dream, hallucination. But it had been real. The room had been real. And what he'd seen in that room, hanging from hooks, wrapped in plastic, tagged and labeled like meat in a processing plant. "You remember now," the voice said. It wasn't a question. "I didn't tell anyone," Liam whispered. "I didn't report it. I left. I forgot. I won't say anything. It doesn't matter. You saw. The seeing is enough. Now it follows. Now it will always follow, waiting for the moment, watching for the right time, and then the lights will get closer." The call ended. Liam looked in his mirror. The lights maintained their distance. But as he watched, they edged forward, slightly, barely perceptible, but closer, definitely closer. His speedometer read 75. He pushed to 80. 85. The car rattled. The lights crept closer, inch by inch, foot by foot. The interval was closing. Whatever rule had kept them separated was changing. The thing behind him was coming. Liam's mind raced. Police station. He needed to get to a police station. Where was the nearest town? Milton was 20 miles ahead. Police station on Main Street. He could make it. 20 miles. Just 20 miles. He could see the lights in his mirror. Closer now. Close enough that he could almost make out the vehicle's shape. A van. Dark-colored. Panel van. No windows in the back. Perfect for transporting things that shouldn't be seen. 15 miles. The van was 50 yards back now. Liam could see details. Rust on the bumper. Dent in the hood. Cracked headlight. The details made it real. Made the threat concrete. This wasn't paranoia. This was happening. This was hunters and prey, and something from that rest stop room had been activated by his seeing. 10 miles. 30 yards back. Close enough that Liam could see the driver now. Except there was no driver. The driver's seat was empty. The van was driving itself. Steering itself. Following him with no human hand on the wheel. No foot on the pedals. Just moving. Just following. Just closing distance with mechanical inevitability. 5 miles. 20 yards. Liam could hear it now. Hear the van's engine. Hear something else. Something scratching inside the van. Something shifting. Something that knew he was close. That smelled him. That was ready. Milton's lights appeared. The town. Civilization. Safety. Liam flew past the speed limit sign. 70 in a 35 zone. Didn't care. Needed the police station. Needed walls and lights and people with guns. The van followed. 10 yards back. 5. Close enough to ram him. Close enough to... The van dropped back. Suddenly. Dramatically. Back to the original distance. 100 yards. And as Liam turned onto Main Street, as the police station came into view, the van turned off. Down a side street. Gone. Just gone. Liam slammed to a stop in the police station parking lot. Sat there, breathing, shaking. After 5 minutes, he forced himself out, walked inside on unsteady legs. The officer at the desk looked up. "Help you?" Liam opened his mouth, tried to explain, followed. Rest stop, room, bodies, van with no driver. It sounded insane even to him. The officer's expression shifted from concern to skeptical. Liam saw it happening, saw himself being categorized as crazy. "Never mind," Liam said. "Sorry, wrong address." He walked out, got back in his car, sat there. The street was empty, no van, no headlights. Maybe it was over. Maybe reaching the police station had saved him. Maybe whatever had been following decided he wasn't worth it. Liam started the engine, pulled out of the parking lot, drove toward the highway. He'd go home, lock his doors, figure this out in the morning. Everything was clearer in daylight. Everything made more sense. He checked his rearview mirror. Empty road, no lights, safe. He was safe. And then, as he passed the last street light on Milton's Main Street, as he transitioned from the town to the dark highway, headlights appeared behind him. Same distance, same brightness, same position. Like they'd never left. Like the police station had been an intermission. A pause. But the show wasn't over. The following would continue. Until it was time. Until the distance closed for good. Until whatever scratched and shifted inside that driverless van got what it came for. Liam drove into the darkness. The lights followed. And somewhere ahead, on some road, in some moment he couldn't predict, those lights would get closer, would pull alongside. And he would see what he'd seen in that rest stop room, but this time he wouldn't be observing. This time he'd be participating. This time he'd be the thing on the hook. The GPS said, turn right. The road sign said, private property, no trespassing. Ashley chose the GPS. She'd chosen the GPS at the last 6 intersections, and it had never steered her wrong. Technology over instinct. That was the modern way, the rational way. So she turned right onto the unmarked road and drove into territory that would rewrite her understanding of possible. The road was paved but narrow. Trees crowded close on both sides, branches forming a tunnel overhead. Ashley's Mazda bumped over potholes that seemed too regular, too evenly spaced to be natural damage. Like they'd been deliberately placed, like they were teeth. She dismissed the thought. Lack of sleep making her imaginative. She'd been driving for 19 hours straight, trying to reach her mother's bedside before the cancer took her. No time to stop, no time to rest, just drive and pray. The GPS knew what it was doing. Continue for 3.7 miles, the GPS voice said. Pleasant, synthetic, lying. Ashley drove. The trees got denser. The sky disappeared behind the canopy. Her headlights seemed weaker here, like the darkness was thicker, resistant to illumination. 1 mile, 2. No houses, no buildings, no signs of human presence, just trees and road and that feeling of wrongness growing in her gut. At 3.6 miles, the road ended. Not at an intersection, not at a gate. It just stopped. Asphalt turned to dirt. Tire tracks continued forward into a clearing where a house stood. Impossible house. Victorian architecture in the middle of nowhere. 3 stories. Wrap-around porch. Windows glowing with warm yellow light. Smoke rising from a chimney. The house looked maintained. Loved. Lived in. You have arrived at your destination, the GPS said. This isn't the highway, Ashley said to the device. She grabbed her phone. No signal. Of course, no signal. She checked the GPS. It showed her position as a blank spot. No roads, no landmarks, just a white space on the digital map with her blue dot floating in the middle of nothing. Ashley considered backing up. 3.7 miles back to the highway. Forget this detour. But her gas gauge showed under a quarter tank. She'd been meaning to stop but kept pushing. 1 more hour. 1 more hour. Now she was nearly empty and nowhere near a gas station. The house's front door opened. A woman stepped onto the porch. Middle-aged, friendly face, normal clothes. She waved. Ashley's relief was immediate and overwhelming. A person, a normal person who could give directions, maybe spare some gas. She killed the engine, got out. I'm so sorry to bother you, Ashley called. My GPS sent me down the wrong road. I'm trying to reach Highway 43. The woman smiled. GPS does that sometimes. This road confuses them. 43 is about 7 miles north, but you'll never make it on your gas. Come inside. I can spare a gallon. Get you back on track. Ashley hesitated. Strange house, strange location. But the woman seemed kind, normal, and Ashley was desperate. "Thank you. I really appreciate it." She followed the woman onto the porch. Up close, the house looked even better maintained. Fresh paint, clean windows, rocking chairs that gleamed with polish. The woman opened the front door and gestured Ashley inside. The interior was beautiful, hardwood floors, antique furniture, oil lamps providing that warm yellow light Ashley had seen from outside. Old-fashioned but immaculate. A fire crackled in a stone fireplace. The smell of baking bread filled the air. Ashley's stomach growled. She hadn't eaten in 12 hours. "I'm Margaret," the woman said. "Please sit. I'll get that gas for you. Would you like some bread? Just came out of the oven." "That's very kind," Ashley said. "But I really need to get going. My mother is in the hospital, and—" "Just a few minutes," Margaret said. Her smile never wavered. "The bread is right here, and you look exhausted. 5 minutes won't make a difference." Ashley found herself sitting, found herself accepting a thick slice of bread with butter. It tasted incredible. Real butter. Fresh bread, homemade in a way store-bought never matched. She ate it faster than she intended. Margaret watched with satisfaction. "Good, isn't it? My grandmother's recipe. Been baking it for 40 years. Ashley nodded, swallowing. "It's amazing. Thank you. But really, I should—" "Of course," Margaret said. "Let me get that gas." She left through a back door. Ashley stood, brushing crumbs from her shirt. She glanced around the room. Everything looked normal, comfortable, safe. Except the photographs on the mantel. Ashley walked closer. The photos showed groups of people, families, individuals, all smiling, all in front of this house. Different eras based on clothing and photo quality, some black and white, some color, some recent digital prints. Dozens of photos, different people, but all in front of this same house. Ashley picked up one photo, a family of 4, parents and 2 kids, dated 1987 based on the hairstyles. She put it down, picked up another, a young couple, maybe from the 60s based on the car in the background. Another, a group of teenagers. 90s fashion, all different people, all at this house, all smiling that same smile, that same empty, wide smile that didn't reach their eyes. The back door opened. Ashley turned. Margaret returned holding a gas can, still smiling, that same empty smile. And Ashley noticed what she should have noticed immediately. Margaret's photo was on the mantel, front and center. Margaret in the exact clothes she wore now, standing on this porch, smiling that smile. Dated 2 weeks ago based on the digital print quality. "Ready to go?" Margaret asked. Ashley's heart rate spiked. Something was wrong. Something was deeply, fundamentally wrong. "Yes," she said, trying to keep her voice steady. "Thank you for the bread." "Of course, this way." Margaret walked toward the front door. Ashley followed. Watched Margaret open the door, watched her step onto the porch, watched her look back with that smile and say, "Come on now, your mother is waiting." Ashley stepped through the doorway and screamed. She wasn't outside. She was in another room. Same house, different room, a bedroom, Victorian furniture, 4-poster bed. And in the bed, a woman, old, skeletal, dying. The woman turned her head, and Ashley saw her mother's face. Her mother who was supposedly in a hospital 300 miles away. Her mother who shouldn't be here, couldn't be here. "Mom," Ashley whispered. Her mother's lips moved. No sound, but Ashley could read the words. "Run." Ashley spun. Margaret stood behind her, still smiling. But her eyes had changed, solid black, no whites, no iris, just voids. You accepted the bread, Margaret said. You ate in this house. That's the rule. You eat, you stay. You become part of the house, part of the family. Ashley ran, bolted through the doorway back into the main room. But it wasn't the main room. It was a hallway, long hallway, doors on both sides. She ran down it, yanking doors open. Every door revealed a bedroom. Every bedroom contained a person in a bed, dying. Some she recognized from the photos. Others she didn't. All dying, all trapped. There's nowhere to go, Margaret called. Her voice came from everywhere. The house is hungry. It feeds on the lost, on the desperate. On those who take wrong turns and accept kindness from strangers. Your GPS brought you here because the house wanted you, called you, and you came. Ashley found stairs, ran up, second floor, more doors, more dying people, third floor, attic, dusty, dark, dead end. She was trapped. She spun looking for windows, found one, ran to it, looked out. Outside was impossible. The clearing was gone. The trees were gone. The house sat in white space, infinite white void in every direction, no ground, no sky, just white. The house floated in nothing, existed in nowhere. You're not in the world anymore, Margaret's voice said. She stood at the attic entrance. You're in the between, the place where the lost go. The house exists here. Fed by GPS errors and wrong turns and desperate people who choose machines over instinct. Ashley looked at her hands. They were fading, becoming translucent. She could see through her palms, see the attic floor through her own flesh. No, she whispered. No, I didn't die. I'm not dead. You're not dead, Margaret agreed. You're becoming part of the house. You'll join the others, lie in a bed, fade slowly, feed the house with your dying. It takes years, decades. But time doesn't work here like it does there. You'll fade forever, comfortable, warm, fed, but never quite dying, never quite ending, just fading eternally. Ashley's legs gave out. She collapsed, felt herself sinking into the floorboards, becoming part of the house, part of the structure. She tried to scream, but her voice was fading too. Everything was fading except the hunger, the house's hunger. She could feel it now, ancient, endless, patient. It had been here for centuries, calling people with wrong turns and malfunctioning technology and promises of help. Her last thought as Ashley Brennan was of her mother, her real mother, in a real hospital. Who would wait for a daughter who would never arrive? Who would die alone because Ashley chose to trust a GPS over her instinct, chose to accept bread from a stranger, chose wrong at every turn. Then Ashley was gone. And in the house that floated in white void, in a bedroom on the second floor, a new patient appeared in a bed. Young woman, fading, dying forever. And on the mantel downstairs, a new photograph materialized. Ashley smiling on the porch, dated today. Empty smile that didn't reach her eyes. Outside, in the real world, on a private road that shouldn't exist, Ashley's Mazda sat empty. Engine cold, doors locked, gas gauge showing a quarter tank. And on her GPS, still mounted to the dashboard, the screen showed a new route, a new wrong turn, waiting for the next desperate driver. The next person who would trust technology over instinct. The house was patient. The house was always hungry. And GPS satellites circled overhead, occasionally glitching, occasionally sending people down private roads to houses that fed on the lost. This was the wrong turn. This was the house between. And Ashley would fade there forever, comfortable and warm and dying. One more photograph on the mantel, one more story the house would tell to the next person who accepted its bread. 3 semi-trucks appeared in Daniel's rearview mirror at 2:17 a.m. on Interstate 89. and something about their formation triggered every prey instinct Daniel possessed. They drove in perfect line. Same speed, same following distance. Headlights creating a chain of illumination that stretched back into darkness. Not unusual for trucks to convoy. Fuel efficiency. Company. Loneliness of long haul. But these trucks were wrong. Daniel felt it in his bones before his conscious mind could articulate why. They closed distance, not aggressively, just steadily. Daniel was doing 70 in his Subaru. The trucks had to be doing 80, 85. Within 5 minutes, the lead truck was 100 yards behind him. Close enough that Daniel could see details in his mirror. Dark-colored cab, no company logo. No identification numbers, just a solid dark truck pulling a long trailer. The truck flashed its high beams. Quick burst. Daniel's gut said don't engage, but highway etiquette said that flash meant you can merge or warning ahead. Daniel flashed back. Acknowledgement, and immediately regretted it. The lead truck accelerated, pulled into the left lane. Drew alongside Daniel, not passing, just matching his speed. Parallel. The truck's cab was high enough that Daniel couldn't see the driver, just the dark silhouette of someone or something behind the wheel. The truck maintained position. Exact speed, exact parallel placement. The second truck pulled alongside Daniel's right, boxing him in. The third truck stayed behind. Triangle formation, surrounding him, trapping him in a moving cage of 18-wheelers on an empty highway at 2 a.m. Daniel's heart hammered. He eased off the gas. The trucks matched his deceleration. He accelerated. They matched. Perfect synchronization. Like they were all controlled by the same brain, the same intention. And that intention was focused entirely on Daniel's small Subaru, trapped between 60,000 pounds of steel and cargo. His phone sat in the cup holder. Daniel grabbed it one-handed, keeping his eyes on the road. Dialed 911. The phone rang, and rang, and rang. No answer. Daniel looked at the screen. Full signal. 5 bars. But the call just rang into emptiness, like 911 didn't exist, like the infrastructure of civilization had been switched off. The truck on his left edged closer, just inches. Close enough that Daniel could have reached out his window and touched the massive tires. He veered right. The truck on his right edged closer. Squeezing. They were hurting him, compressing his space, forcing him into an increasingly narrow corridor. Daniel saw the exit ahead. Exit 47, quarter mile. He made a decision. Wait until the last second, then brake hard and dive for the exit. The trucks were massive. They couldn't react as quickly. He'd escape, find a gas station, call from there, call someone. Anyone. Quarter mile, 8th mile. Now. Daniel slammed the brakes, anti-lock system engaged, pedal pulsing under his foot. The Subaru decelerated violently. Daniel yanked the wheel right, aiming for the exit ramp. The truck on his right anticipated. Blocked the exit perfectly. Daniel swerved back, narrowly avoiding a collision. The trucks had predicted his move, countered it, prevented it. Daniel's hands shook on the wheel. "What do you want?" he shouted. His voice was swallowed by engine noise and fear. The truck on his left rolled down its passenger window. Daniel looked up, saw inside the cab, saw the driver, saw that the driver wasn't human, couldn't be human. It wore a man's shape, but the proportions were wrong. Arms too long, head too large, and its face. God, its face, no features, just smooth flesh where eyes and nose and mouth should be. Blank, featureless. Watching him with senses Daniel couldn't comprehend. The thing raised one too long arm, pointed ahead. Daniel followed the gesture. The highway stretched forward into darkness. Empty, but not empty. Daniel saw them now, saw what the trucks were herding him toward. In the distance, maybe a mile ahead, shapes blocked the highway. Big shapes, more trucks, dozens of them, parked in a line across all lanes, a wall, a barrier, a trap. No, Daniel said. No, 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 no. He couldn't go forward, couldn't exit, couldn't slow down or the truck behind would rear-end him, couldn't speed up because the boxing trucks controlled his pace. He was being delivered, driven like cattle towards slaughter. Whatever waited in that truck barrier ahead, Daniel would reach it in less than a minute. He considered crashing, just yanking the wheel hard, taking his chances with the ditch, the trees, anything except driving into that trap. But at 70 miles per hour in the dark, ditches meant rollovers. Trees meant death. He'd survived 32 years by not being stupid. Survival instinct warred with terror. Half mile. The truck wall resolved into details, not just trucks, something else, something in the center of the barrier. A gap, a space between vehicles, an entrance. The trucks were herding him through that entrance, into whatever lay beyond. Daniel's phone rang. The sound in the tense silence made him jump. He looked at the screen. Unknown number. He answered, pressed it to his ear. "Keep driving," a voice said. Human voice, male, calm. "Don't fight, don't resist, just drive through." "Who is this? What's happening?" "You were selected, randomly, arbitrarily. Wrong place, wrong time. The convoy needed someone and you were there. I'm sorry. I went through last year. It's the only way." "The only way to what?" "To leave. To escape. You have to go in before you can come out. That's the rule. Fight, and they'll force you. Cooperate, and you might survive. I survived. Others survived. Some don't. But cooperation gives you a chance." The call ended. Daniel looked ahead. Quarter mile. The gap in the truck barrier was wider now, large enough to drive through. And beyond it, Daniel could see light. Artificial light. Orange and flickering, like fire, like a massive fire burning in the space between trucks. The boxing trucks edged closer. Inches from Daniel's car, no room to maneuver. Only one direction to go. Forward. Into the trap, into whatever the convoy wanted. 8th mile. Daniel could feel heat now. Actual heat penetrating the windshield. The air shimmered. His car's temperature gauge started climbing. The fire beyond the trucks wasn't normal fire. Too bright, too hot, too wrong. Daniel drove through the gap. The world changed. Inside the truck barrier, physics broke. The highway continued, but it corkscrewed. Twisted. Daniel was driving on a road that curved in impossible directions. Up walls, across ceilings. His car somehow maintained traction, gravity shifting to keep him pressed in his seat, but his brain screamed at the geometric impossibility. Trucks lined this impossible road, hundreds of them, thousands, stretching into distance that couldn't exist in normal space. All dark, all featureless, all with those blank-faced drivers watching from cabs, and between the trucks, fire. Rivers of fire flowing like water, defying gravity, burning nothing, just existing as light and heat and wrongness. Daniel drove. What else could he do? The road gave him no choice. Forward was the only direction. The corkscrew tightened. He was driving nearly vertical now, looking down through his windshield at pavement that should have been a wall. His stomach lurched. His sense of up and down dissolved. And then he saw others, other cars, other drivers, all driving the same impossible road. All trapped in the convoy's design. A woman in a minivan, a man in a pickup, a teenager in a Honda, all moving forward, all following the only path available. Some had been here longer. Daniel could tell by their faces. The resignation, the dead-eyed acceptance. They'd given up understanding, just drove, just obeyed. just waited for the road to end. Did it end? The phone voice said he'd survived, said he'd escaped. But how? Where was the exit? Daniel drove for 10 minutes, 20. The impossible road continued. The fire rivers flowed. The blank-faced drivers watched. And Daniel felt something changing, felt his thoughts slowing, felt acceptance creeping in, felt his fear being replaced by exhausted resignation. He shook his head hard, bit his lip until blood came. Pain to keep alert, to keep fighting. He wouldn't become like the others, wouldn't surrender to the convoy. There had to be an exit, had to be an escape. The phone voice proved it. There, ahead, a divergence in the road, a split. Left continued the spiral. Right led toward a gap in the trucks, a gap with darkness beyond. Not fire darkness, regular darkness, normal darkness, highway darkness. Daniel chose right. Accelerated toward the gap. The trucks tried to close it, moved to block his escape. But Daniel had been driving this impossible geometry long enough to understand it. The trucks moved slowly here. Time moved slowly. He had an advantage. Speed. He floored the Subaru. The little four-cylinder engine screamed. The gap narrowed. Daniel shot through with inches to spare. The world snapped back to normal. Regular highway, regular physics, regular night. Daniel gasped, looking around wildly. Interstate 89. Exit 52. He'd driven 5 exits through impossible space. 5 exits that should have taken 10 minutes, but felt like hours. His clock read 2:37 a.m. 20 minutes. Only 20 minutes had passed since the trucks first appeared. 20 minutes to be selected, trapped, herded, driven through geometric madness, and released. 20 minutes that had aged Daniel years. He pulled onto the shoulder, killed the engine, sat there shaking. His phone rang, same unknown number. He answered. "You made it," the voice said. "Congratulations. You're in the 17% who escaped first try." "What was that?" Daniel's voice cracked. "What the hell was that?" "The convoy, the moving trap. It exists in folded space, physics we don't understand, purpose we can't comprehend. It appears, it selects, it takes. Some people go in and never come out. They drive forever in that spiral. Others find the exit. You found it. You're free." "Free?" Daniel laughed. It sounded hysterical. "I'm never going to be free. I'm going to see those trucks every time I close my eyes." "Yes," the voice agreed. "You will. We all do. But you're alive. That's more than most get. Don't drive at night for a while. The convoy hunts at night. During the day, you're safe." "Probably. We think." "We? Who's we?" "The survivors. The ones who escaped. There are forums, support groups. We help each other. I'll send you a link. Welcome to the club nobody wants to join." The call ended. A text arrived. A web link. Daniel stared at it. Stared at his hands still trembling on the steering wheel. Stared at the empty highway stretching in both directions. Normal, safe, deceptive. He started the engine, drove, not fast, carefully, watching his mirrors obsessively. No trucks, no convoy. Just an empty highway and a traumatized driver who'd learned that roads don't just connect places. Sometimes they connect dimensions. Sometimes they fold and spiral and trap. Sometimes they're hunted by convoys with blank-faced drivers and geometric madness. Daniel drove until sunrise. Didn't stop. Couldn't stop. When daylight finally came, he pulled into a gas station, went inside, and bought the strongest coffee they had. The cashier asked if he was okay. He looked that bad. Daniel said yes. Lied. Because how do you explain? How do you tell someone that you drove through impossible space? The trucks can herd and trap and deliver. That highways hide geometric hells. You don't. You lie. You drink coffee. You join forums of other survivors. You never drive at night again if you can help it. And you watch your mirrors. Always watch your mirrors. Because the convoy is still out there, still hunting, still selecting random drivers for reasons no one understands. And next time, you might not find the exit. Next time, you might join the dead-eyed drivers, spiraling forever in folded space, driving a road that never ends, trapped between trucks that never stop, herded by blank-faced things that wear human shapes, but serve purposes beyond human comprehension. This was Interstate 89. This was the convoy. And Daniel had survived. Barely. 17% survival rate. Those weren't good odds, but they were better than zero. Better than the 83% who didn't escape, who drove still, who would drive forever. Daniel finished his coffee, got back in his Subaru, drove home, and never drove at night again. The detour sign appeared without warning on Highway 14. Road closed. Take scenic route. Melissa nearly missed it. Would have if her boyfriend Trevor hadn't pointed it out from the passenger seat. The GPS showed no detours, no road closures, but physical signs trumped digital information. Melissa took the exit marked Scenic Route and drove into a mistake that would cost them more than time. The scenic route was narrow. 2 lanes. Trees crowded close. Asphalt cracked and patched and cracked again. Old road. Unused road. The kind of road that state budgets forgot. But it was maintained enough. Drivable. Melissa followed it as it wound through forest, trusting it would reconnect to Highway 14 eventually. The GPS had lost signal. Phone showed no service. But that was normal in rural Montana. Mountains and trees killed signals. This was fine. They were fine. How long do you think this detour is? Trevor asked. Can't be too far, Melissa said. Highway 14 is the main route. They wouldn't detour people onto a long alternate. They drove 10 minutes, 20, 30. The forest never changed. Same dense trees, same narrow road, same absence of anything human. No houses, no mailboxes, no signs. Just forest and asphalt, and the growing sense that maybe this route wasn't so scenic, was in fact monotonous, oppressively monotonous. There, Trevor said, pointing. A sign ahead. Faded paint, wooden post. Beckworth Valley, 5 miles. See, Melissa said. Town ahead. We're fine. 5 miles later, Beckworth Valley appeared. Small town, main street. Buildings from the 40s or 50s. Everything closed. Everything dark. Melissa checked her watch. 4 p.m. Not late. Stores should be open. But every building they passed showed locked doors, dark windows, no signs of life. Ghost town, Trevor suggested. Looks maintained, though, Melissa said. The buildings weren't falling apart. Paint was fresh. Streets were clean. Just empty. Nobody walking. No cars. No movement. Like everyone had left midday and forgot to come back. The main street ended. The scenic route continued out the other side of town. Melissa followed it. What else could she do? Back the way they came. They'd been driving 45 minutes. Surely this route connected to something soon. Surely they hadn't been routed onto a dead end. They drove. The forest resumed. Same monotonous trees, same narrow road. Melissa's gas gauge showed half a tank. Plenty. Unless this route was much longer than expected. Unless they got lost. Unless this was wrong. There's another town, Trevor said. Sign ahead. Beckworth Valley, 5 miles. Melissa's stomach dropped. That's not possible. We just left Beckworth Valley. Maybe there are 2. Beckworth Valley North and South or something? 5 miles later, they drove through Beckworth Valley. Same main street. Same closed buildings, same empty town. Melissa recognized specific details. A red truck parked at the same angle, a barber pole she'd noticed before. This wasn't a different town. This was the same town. Impossible as that was, they'd looped back to Beckworth Valley. "Stop," Trevor said. His voice was tight, afraid. "Stop the car." Melissa pulled over, killed the engine. They sat in silence in the middle of Beckworth Valley's empty main street. Melissa's mind tried to map what had happened. They'd driven through town, continued the scenic route for maybe 20 minutes, seen the sign, returned to town. But returning meant the road looped. The scenic route was a circle, but that didn't make sense. Why would there be a circular detour? Where was Highway 14? "We'll walk around," Melissa said. "Find someone, ask for directions." They got out. The air felt wrong. Too still, too quiet. No birds, no insects, no wind. Just silence and the weight of empty buildings watching them. Melissa tried doors as they walked. Locked. All locked. She peered through windows. Saw interiors. Normal store interiors. Goods on shelves, like the owners just stepped out. But dust coated everything. Thick dust. The kind that accumulates over years, not hours. "Melissa," Trevor called. He stood at a window, staring inside. "Look at this." Melissa joined him. The window showed a diner interior. Counter stools, booths. And on the counter, food. Plates of food, burgers and fries, coffee in cups, still steaming. Fresh, like it had been served seconds ago. But dust covered the floor. Dust covered the counter except where the plates sat. Fresh food in ancient dust. "This isn't right," Trevor said. "This is wrong. We need to leave, now." They ran back to the car. Melissa started the engine, pulled a U-turn, drove back the way they'd entered Beckworth Valley. The scenic route stretched ahead. They drove fast. 70 in a 45. Melissa didn't care. She wanted out, wanted away from this town that existed in contradictions. Empty but maintained. Ancient but fresh. Dead but somehow alive. 20 minutes later, the sign appeared. "Beckworth Valley, 5 miles. "No," Melissa whispered. "No, no, no." They were approaching from the opposite direction, from the way they'd originally come, which meant they'd completed a circle. Driven completely around and arrived back at the beginning. The scenic route was a perfect loop with Beckworth Valley at its midpoint. In and out. Entering and exiting. But going nowhere. "Maybe if we don't enter the town," Trevor said. "Maybe there's a turn we're missing, between the signs and the town. We'll drive slowly. Look for any side roads." They drove through Beckworth Valley again, watching, looking for turns. Found none. The scenic route was the only road. It ran through town and continued. That was all. No intersections, no driveways even. Just the single road forming its impossible loop. "The GPS," Melissa said. "Maybe it has signal now." Trevor checked. No signal. The GPS showed their location as blank space, white void, no roads, no town. They didn't exist on the digital map. And Melissa realized with creeping horror that maybe they didn't exist anymore, period. Maybe the scenic route had taken them somewhere off the map, somewhere between. They drove the loop 5 more times, each time hoping for something different. Each time finding the same. Forest, town, forest, sign, repeat. Melissa's gas gauge dropped to a quarter, then an eighth. Then the warning light came on. "We have to stop," she said. "Save what's left. Figure this out." They stopped in Beckworth Valley. Main Street, same spot as before. The sun was setting. Long shadows stretched between buildings. And as darkness fell, lights came on. Street lights, lights inside the buildings. The town illuminated itself, Automatic system, maybe. Timer-based. But the effect was eerie. Warm light and empty buildings. Civilization without people. Look, Trevor said. He pointed at the diner. The same diner with steaming food. The lights were on inside now. And someone was moving. A figure. Behind the counter, wearing a uniform, working. They got out of the car slowly. Approached the diner. The door was unlocked now. Melissa pushed it open. A bell chimed. The smell of coffee and grilled meat hit her. Normal. So blessedly normal. The figure behind the counter turned. A woman. 50s. Tired face. Waitress uniform. Name tag reading Dolores. She smiled. Well, finally. Thought you two were going to sit in that car all night. Come in. Sit. You must be starving. Melissa and Trevor exchanged glances. This was insane. But they were starving. Hadn't eaten since breakfast. And maybe this woman had answers. Explanations. They sat at the counter. Dolores poured coffee without asking, slid menus in front of them. What is this place? Melissa asked. Beckworth Valley, Dolores said. Rest stop, way station. Call it what you like. Way station between what? There and gone. Dolores's smile didn't reach her eyes. You took the scenic route. That was a choice. All choices have destinations. We want to leave, Trevor said. Get back to Highway 14. How do we do that? You don't, Dolores said simply. The scenic route loops. You can drive it forever if you want. Most do for a while. Burn their gas, burn their hope. Then they come here, accept. Stay. Stay, Melissa's voice rose. We're not staying. We're leaving. Tell us how to leave. Dolores refilled their coffee. There's no leaving, only accepting. The scenic route is a trap, a pocket, a fold in space that catches people. You saw the detour sign and chose to take it. That choice locked you in. Now you're here. Now you'll always be here. Trevor stood. Come on, Melissa. This is crazy. We're leaving. They walked out, got in the car. Melissa turned the key. The engine tried to turn over, failed, tried again. Failed. The gas gauge showed empty, completely empty. Impossible. They'd had a quarter tank when they stopped, 10 minutes ago. But now the gauge read empty and the engine wouldn't start. No, Melissa said. She tried again. Again. The battery died. Lights dimmed. Stopped. The car was dead. Dolores appeared in the diner doorway. Like I said, accept or drive forever. Most drive until the gas runs out. You did better than some. Only took you 6 loops. 6, Trevor said. We only did 6 loops. Most make it to 20. 30. One guy made it to 143 before accepting. He's still here. Works at the hardware store down the street. Been here 40 years. Time moves differently in the way station. 40 years here is an hour out there. If out there still exists. Melissa felt reality cracking around her. This couldn't be happening. Couldn't be real. But her dead car argued otherwise. The steaming food in an empty diner argued otherwise. The impossible loop argued otherwise. What do we do? She asked. Her voice was small, defeated. You live, Dolores said. Beckworth Valley takes care of its people. There are houses, food, everything you need. Work, if you want it. Community. It's not so bad once you accept. Most people find peace. Find happiness, even. It's the fighting that makes it hard. Melissa looked at Trevor, saw the same broken expression she felt on her own face. They'd taken a detour, one scenic route, and it had cost them everything. Cost them the world, their families, their futures. All of it gone because they'd followed a sign that promised a scenic view and delivered a trap. How many? Trevor asked. How many people are trapped here? 137, Dolores said. Give or take. People fade sometimes, stop existing. We don't know why, but most stay. Most make it work. You will too. Melissa got out of the car, stood in the street, looked at Beckworth Valley with its warm lights and empty buildings and hidden population of trapped souls. This was her life now. This would be her eternity. A wait station between there and gone. A scenic route that looped forever. A town that existed in folded space, catching travelers, keeping them, offering comfort in exchange for everything they'd ever known. She started crying. Trevor held her, and Dolores watched with tired sympathy. She'd seen this reaction 136 times before, would see it again. The scenic route always caught someone eventually. The detour sign appeared randomly. On Highway 14, on Route 9, on Interstate 43, wherever the way station needed people. And people always followed signs, always trusted detours. Always drove into traps disguised as helpful alternatives. Come inside, Dolores said. Food's getting cold, and you'll want to eat. First night is always hardest. Food helps. Melissa and Trevor followed her inside, sat at the counter, ate burgers that tasted perfect, drank coffee that never cooled, and outside on Highway 14, a new detour sign appeared. Road closed, take scenic route. Waiting for the next car, the next choice, the next souls to feed the town that existed in the between. This was Beckworth Valley. This was the scenic route. And Melissa would live here forever, serving coffee to new arrivals, wearing Dolores's tired smile, explaining the trap, welcoming the trapped. Because that's what you did in the way station. You accepted. You adapted. You became part of the loop. You became the warning that no one would heed. And somewhere on Highway 14, another driver saw the detour sign and thought, scenic route? That sounds nice. Owen was scanning channels when he found it. He shouldn't have. His car radio maxed out at 108.0 FM, but at exactly 2:36 a.m. on Highway 20, crossing Nevada desert, the scan stopped at 109.5. Impossible frequency. Owen's finger hovered over the seek button, but the voice coming through the speakers froze him. And that's Owen Kavanaugh, 34 years old, driving a 2017 Civic, currently at mile marker 93. Owen is listening to this broadcast. Owen is wondering how we know his name. Owen, you're 3 miles from exit 45. Don't take it. Nothing good waits at exit 45. Owen's blood turned to ice water. The voice was calm. Professional. Standard radio announcer tone. But it was talking about him, specifically, personally. Using his full name, describing his car, his location. Owen grabbed the radio, twisted the knob. Static. He twisted back, found 109.5 again. The voice continued. Still listening. Good. That's good, Owen. Most people turn off immediately. Think they're hallucinating. But you're curious. That curiosity will serve you, or doom you. Hard to say which. Mile marker 94 now. You're doing exactly 72 miles per hour. Fuel at 53%. Engine temperature nominal. You're wondering how we have this information. We monitor everything, Owen. Everything and everyone on Highway 20 between midnight and dawn. It's what we do. It's what we've always done. Owen's hands shook on the wheel. This was impossible. Illegal. Some kind of elaborate prank or hack. But how? How could they know his name? How could they know his location? He looked around for cameras, drones, saw nothing. Just empty desert highway and stars and darkness. No cameras, the voice said, responding to thoughts it shouldn't know. No drones. We're not watching you, Owen. We're something else. We're listening. The highway listens. The radio translates. and we broadcast to those who tune in. Congratulations. You found 109.5. Most people never do. Most people stay on commercial frequencies their whole lives. But you found us. That makes you special, or unlucky. Again, hard to say which. This isn't real, Owen said aloud. Testing. Seeing if the voice would respond. It did. Immediately. Owen is speaking. Owen says this isn't real, but your heart rate suggests otherwise. 140 beats per minute. That's fear, Owen. That's your body knowing this is absolutely real, even if your mind rejects it. Mile marker 95. Exit 45 in 2 miles. Remember, don't take it. The thing at exit 45 has been waiting for 3 days. It's patient. It's hungry. It would very much like you to exit. Owen saw the exit sign, green and reflective. Exit 45, Mercy Springs. The sign looked normal, innocent. But the radio said don't take it. Said something was waiting, something hungry. Owen's foot eased off the gas. He should take the exit. Should find a gas station or rest stop. Should get away from this insane highway with its impossible radio station. But the voice had been right about everything else. His name, his car, his location. What if it was right about exit 45? He passed it. Stayed on Highway 20. In his mirror, exit 45 receded into darkness. And Owen could swear he saw something standing at the end of the exit ramp. Something large. Something that stepped back into shadow as his taillights disappeared. Good choice, the voice said. Owen heard satisfaction. Pride, almost. You're learning to trust. Trust is important on Highway 20. Trust is survival. Mile marker 96. Owen is alone in his vehicle. No passengers. That's good. Passengers complicate things. Passengers ask questions. Doubt. Encourage exits that shouldn't be taken. Alone is better. Alone is safer. What are you? Owen asked. We're the broadcast, the signal, the warning system for Highway 20's night hours. We've existed since the highway was built. 1963, 62 years of monitoring. 62 years of helping those who can hear. Hundreds of thousands of travelers. Most never find 109.5. They drive through night after night, oblivious. But the special ones, the sensitive ones, they find us. And we help them, guide them, keep them safe from what hunts in the dark. What hunts? Many things. The thing at exit 45, the twins at mile marker 112, the reversal at 126. Highway 20 is thin, Owen. The veil is thin. Between midnight and dawn, things cross over. Things that hunger, things that hunt, things that wait for travelers. We broadcast to warn, to guide, to give the sensitive ones a chance. Mile marker 100. Owen's mind raced. This was insane, impossible, but happening. Undeniably happening. Can I change the station? Turn you off? Yes, you can. Most do eventually. Can't handle the knowing, can't handle the fear. They turn off, drive in ignorant bliss. Usually survive, sometimes don't. It's a choice, Owen. Knowledge and fear, or ignorance and chance. Choose now. Mile marker 101. Owen's finger touched the radio dial. One twist. That's all it would take. Back to commercial stations. Top 40. Classic rock. Anything normal. Anything that didn't know his name. But his hand dropped. Tell me about the twins. The voice almost sounded pleased. Mile marker 112. 2 children, boy and girl, 8 years old. They stand on the shoulder, hitchhiking. If you stop, they'll ask for a ride to their grandmother's house. If you refuse, they'll beg. If you agree, they'll get in your back seat. And then you'll drive forever, literally forever. The highway will loop. You'll pass mile marker 112 repeatedly. The twins will sit in your back seat. Silent, smiling, and you'll never escape. 3 people currently driving that loop, been driving for years, passing mile marker 112 every 90 seconds, forever. Don't stop for the twins, Owen. Jesus Christ, Owen whispered. Mile marker 105. You're doing well. Maintaining speed, staying alert. Most people get drowsy. Dismiss the broadcast as sleep deprivation. Crash or exit or fall asleep at the wheel. You're focused. That's good. Means you have a chance. Chance at what? Surviving until dawn. That's the goal. 6 a.m. Sun rises. The thin places seal. The hunting things retreat. Highway 20 becomes normal highway. You'll be safe. But it's only 3:07 a.m. 2 hours and 53 minutes remain. 73 miles to drive. Many dangers between here and sunrise. Owen's gas gauge showed just over half a tank. Enough? Probably, unless something delayed him. Are there safe exits? Gas stations? No. No safe exits between here and mile marker 168. Every exit harbors something. Gas stations are worst. Never stop at gas stations on Highway 20 at night, Owen. They look operational. Lights on, pumps working, attendants inside. But the attendants aren't human. Haven't been human for decades. They wear human shapes. Badly. Up close, you'd see. See the wrong proportions. The too smooth skin. The eyes that don't blink. If you pump gas, the gas isn't gas. Looks like it. Smells like it. But it's something else. Something that eats engines from inside. Your car would stop working within 10 miles. Leave you stranded. Leave you walking. And things hunt walkers, Owen. Things much worse than the twins. Mile marker 110. Ahead in the headlights, Owen saw them. 2 small figures on the shoulder. Children, wearing old-fashioned clothes. Thumbs out, hitchhiking. His heart rate spiked. The radio hadn't lied. The twins were real. Don't slow down, the voice said. Urgent now. Don't make eye contact. Don't acknowledge them. They can't force you, can't make you stop. They rely on human compassion, on the instinct to help children. Suppress that instinct, Owen. Drive past. Owen gripped the wheel. Stared straight ahead. The twins grew closer in his headlights. He could see details now. Blonde hair, pale skin, smiles. They were waving, enthusiastic, desperate. As Owen passed them, their heads turned, tracking his car. Their smiles never wavered. Never changed. Static. Painted on. Wrong. In his rearview mirror, the twins stood in the middle of the highway, staring after him, still smiling. And then they were gone. Winked out. Vanished. Like they'd never been there. Good, the voice said. Very good. You passed the first major test. The twins are persuasive. Their appearance triggers deep instinctual responses, protecting children. But they're not children. Haven't been children in 70 years. They're echoes, imprints, ghosts that hunger for company. For people to share their loop. You denied them. They'll remember. Next time you drive Highway 20 at night, they'll try harder. Look different. Sound more desperate. It gets worse each time, Owen. Each exposure makes the next harder. Then I'll never drive this highway again, Owen said. You will. Everyone says that. Everyone returns. Highway 20 is the fastest route through this part of Nevada. It saves an hour versus the alternates. People value their time. They forget the fear. Tell themselves it was dream, hallucination. They return. And the things remember. The things have long memories. Mile marker 120. Owen checked his fuel. Still adequate. Time was 3:34. Over halfway to sunrise. He could make it. He was going to make it. Just maintain speed. Trust the radio. Avoid exits. Survive. The reversal is ahead, the voice said. Mile marker 126. The highway will flip, literally flip. You'll be driving upside down for 0.3 miles. Do not panic. Do not brake. Maintain speed. Maintain steering. Your car will not fall. Gravity will hold you to the road. But it will feel wrong. Your instincts will scream. Ignore them. Trust the physics. Others have panicked, braked, turned off the highway. They fell into the underneath. We don't know what's in the underneath, Owen, but we hear them sometimes, on certain frequencies. Screaming. For years, for decades. Still screaming. Don't fall into the underneath. Oh God, Owen said. This was too much, too insane. He should stop, should wait for sunrise parked on the shoulder. But the radio said things hunt walkers. Hunt stopped cars. Only motion was safety. Only driving protected. Mile marker 125. 126 appeared ahead. The highway looked normal, straight, flat, regular asphalt. And then Owen crossed 126, and the world inverted. His car was suddenly on the ceiling. Driving on the ceiling. Highway above him, sky below. His stomach lurched. Every instinct screamed wrong. The steering wheel tried to turn in his slick hands. His foot wanted to hit the brake, wanted to stop this impossible nightmare. But he heard the voice, heard the warning, heard the screaming in the underneath. Owen maintained speed, maintained steering. White-knuckled, terrified, but driving. The ceiling highway rushed past. 0.1 miles, 0.2, 0.3. The world flipped back. Regular orientation. Highway below. Sky above. Owen gasped. Sweat soaked his shirt. But he'd done it. He'd driven the reversal. Excellent, the voice said. Genuine pride now. Few first-timers navigate the reversal that well. You have potential, Owen. Potential to become a regular, a survivor. Someone who knows Highway 20's secrets and drives it anyway. We need regulars. The highway needs people who understand, who can help others. You could be one of us. One of you. Owen's voice shook. Your people, human people. We were, once. Now we're something else. We're the broadcast. We exist in the signal. Gave up bodies decades ago to maintain the warning system, to help travelers, to fight against the things that hunt. It's a sacrifice, a choice, but a necessary one. Highway 20 must be monitored, must be warned, or the casualty rate would be catastrophic. You could join us, Owen, after tonight, after you survive. You'd never have to drive again. You'd exist in the signal, monitor, broadcast, help, forever. That's insane, Owen said. I'm not giving up my body to become a radio signal. Most say that, at first, but after you drive Highway 20 enough times, after you see enough things, after enough close calls, the offer becomes appealing. Safety, purpose, immortality of a sort. Consider it. You have until sunrise. Mile marker 140. Fuel at 38%. Time was 4:12. An hour and 48 minutes to sunrise. Owen could see the sky lightening, barely, but definitely lighter. Dawn was coming. Safety was coming. He just had to survive until then. Congratulations, Owen, the voice said. You're going to make it. Mile marker 168 is the safe point. Beyond that, the thin places seal early. The hunting things retreat. You're 48 minutes from safety. Barring complications, you'll survive your first night on Highway 20. 92% of first-timers don't. They take wrong exits, stop at gas stations, pick up the twins, panic at the reversal, fall into the underneath. But you did well. You listened. You trusted. You survived. Owen should have felt relief. But something in the voice's tone warned him. Complications? What complications? Mile marker 155, 3 miles ahead. There's an accident. Recent. Vehicle in the ditch. Driver standing on the shoulder. Injured. Waving for help. You'll want to stop. Human nature. But Owen, that's not a human. That's the last test. The final trap. The thing wears human shape better than most. Bleeds real blood. Cries real tears. But it's not human. If you stop, it will get in your car. And then I can't help you anymore. Then you're beyond salvation. Don't stop, Owen. Promise me you won't stop. I won't, Owen said. But his voice lacked certainty. An injured person. How could he drive past? What if the radio was wrong? What if it was actually human and he left them to die? I hear your doubt, the voice said. That's what it counts on. That's why it's the last test, the hardest test. Your humanity versus your survival. But Owen, listen. The thing at mile marker 155 has been staging accidents for 40 years. It's caught 217 people. All of them stopped. All of them thought they were helping. None of them reached sunrise. Don't be 218. Mile marker 155 appeared. The wreck was there. Exactly as described. SUV in the ditch, hood crumpled, steam rising. And a figure on the shoulder. Man. Middle-aged, holding his arm, blood on his face. He saw Owen's headlights, waved frantically. Desperate, hurt. Human in every visible way. Owen's foot moved to the brake. The voice shouted, "Don't stop! Owen, don't stop! It's not human! I'm begging you! 3 more miles! Just 3 more miles and you're safe! Don't throw away your survival for a thing that's mimicking hurt! Please!" The man locked eyes with Owen as he passed. Owen saw the pain, the confusion, the betrayal. Saw a human being abandoned, left on a dark highway. And Owen hated himself, hated his choice, but he kept driving, kept his foot on the gas. The man receded in the mirror, and then Owen saw it, saw the man's face change, saw the human mask slip, saw what was underneath, something with too many joints, something that unfolded into proportions that hurt to see, something that screamed with rage at losing prey. Owen threw up, swerved, recovered. The thing at mile marker 155 grew small in his mirror, vanished into darkness, and Owen understood that the radio had saved his life, had literally saved his life. That thing would have killed him, worn him, taken his shape, used him to trap the next traveler. "I'm sorry," the voice said. Gentle now. "I'm sorry you had to see that. But you survived. Mile marker 168 ahead. Safety. Dawn. You did it, Owen. You drove Highway 20 at night and survived. Few do. Congratulations." Owen crossed mile marker 168 as the sun broke the horizon. Real sunrise. Real light. The highway transformed, became normal, regular. The oppressive weight lifted. Owen could breathe, could think, could process the nightmare he'd just driven through. "We'll be here," the voice said. "If you return, when you return. 109.5, between midnight and dawn. We'll guide you, keep you safe, or you can join us. Join the broadcast, help others survive. The offer stands, Owen, forever. Think about it. And drive safely." The radio switched to static. Owen twisted the dial. Commercial stations, music, weather, normal frequencies. He tried to find 109.5 again, couldn't. The impossible frequency was gone, like it had never existed, like the whole night had been hallucination. But Owen's sweat-soaked shirt argued otherwise, his shaking hands argued otherwise. The vomit taste in his mouth argued otherwise. It had been real. All of it. And Owen knew, with sickening certainty, that he would return to Highway 20. Not tonight. Not tomorrow. But eventually. He'd convince himself it was safe. Convince himself it was the fastest route. And he'd drive it again. And the things would remember him. And next time would be harder. This was Highway 20. This was the broadcast. This was the night highway where things hunted and radios warned and people became signals to save others. And Owen had survived. But survival had a price. Knowledge. Knowing what existed in the dark. Knowing he'd been inches from death multiple times. Knowing that next time he might not be so lucky. Owen drove into the sunrise. And behind him, Highway 20 waited for midnight. Waited for the thin places to open. Waited for the things to emerge. Waited for 109.5 to broadcast again. Good evening, travelers. This is 109.5. We're here to help. If you're hearing this, you're special. Or unlucky. Hard to say which. The exit appeared at 3:47 a.m. with no warning. 1 second, Carlos was driving Interstate 33 through Wyoming emptiness. The next, an exit ramp materialized on his right. Last exit, 500 miles. The sign glowed white in his headlights. Official looking, Department of Transportation style. But Carlos's map showed no exits for another 90 miles. And 500 miles? That warning made no sense. Interstates had exits every 10, 20 miles maximum. 500 was impossible. Carlos took the exit. He needed gas. His gauge showed under a quarter tank, and he'd been gambling on finding a station soon. If this exit led to even a small town, he could refuel. Get coffee. Stretch. The alternative was running empty on a dark highway in the middle of nowhere. The exit ramp curved right, descended. Carlos followed it down and down and down, too far down. Exit ramps didn't descend this far. He'd dropped elevation equivalent to a parking garage. Multiple levels. But there was no garage, just the ramp, descending. Finally it leveled, became a regular road. 2 lanes, no street lights. Carlos's headlights revealed cracked asphalt and desert scrub. Nothing else. No town, no gas station, no buildings. He drove slowly, looking. Quarter mile, half mile, nothing. The road continued into darkness. Carlos considered turning around, going back to the interstate. But the exit had said, last exit, 500 miles. Maybe the town was ahead. Maybe his map was outdated. GPS showed no signal here. Phone showed no service. He was navigating blind. But forward or backward, both directions offered unknown. He chose forward, drove 3 miles, 5, 10. Nothing changed. Same desert, same empty road, same absence of anything human. Carlos's unease grew. This was wrong. Exits led to towns, to gas stations, to something. Not nowhere, not endless empty road. Headlights appeared ahead, coming toward him. Carlos's relief was immediate and intense. Another car meant people, meant civilization nearby. He slowed. The approaching vehicle slowed too. They pulled alongside each other, stopped, window to window. The other driver was a woman, 50s, frightened face. She rolled down her window. Carlos did the same. "Thank God," she said. "How long have you been here?" "Here? I just exited. Maybe 20 minutes ago. You?" The woman's face did something complicated. "I took the exit 37 days ago. I've been driving this road since. There's no end. There's no way back. The exit ramp doesn't go up. It only descends further." Carlos's blood went cold. "What? No, that's impossible. I'm just looking for gas. For a town." "There is no town," the woman said. Her voice held exhausted certainty. "There's nothing. Just this road. I'm Alice Herrera. I took the last exit on August 3rd. Today is September 9th. I've driven this road every day, trying to find an exit, trying to find an end. There is none, just road, endless road. You've been here 37 days. Carlos's mind rejected it. You'd be out of gas, out of food, you'd be dead. Alice laughed, bitter sound. "Yeah, I should be, but I'm not. Gas gauge never moves below a quarter tank, no matter how much I drive. And I'm not hungry, not tired, not thirsty, not anything. I'm just here, driving, existing in this nowhere place. Carlos checked his gas gauge. Quarter tank. Exactly quarter tank. Same as 5 minutes ago. Same as 10 miles ago. He felt reality tilting. No, no, this is wrong. I'm going back. I'm finding the entrance ramp. It doesn't go up, Alice repeated. The ramp descends. Only descends. I've tried a dozen times. You drive down and down and down, and eventually you're back on this road. Lower level. There are levels, Carlos. Multiple levels. Each one identical. Each one empty. Each one trap. How do you know my name? It's on your license plate. Vanity plate. Carlos 7. I've gotten good at reading details. Good at noticing. When you're alone for 37 days, you notice everything. Carlos looked at his plate in the mirror. She was right. His vanity plate. He'd forgotten. There has to be a way out, an exit, an end. If there is, I haven't found it. I've driven 800 miles, maybe more. Odometer stopped working after day 10. Road never changes, never ends, just continues forever through empty desert. Others have found me, passed me. They're ahead somewhere. Or behind. All of us driving. All of us trapped. Others. How many others? I've met 4. Before you. Guy named Richard. Woman named Keiko. Couple named Tom and Sandra. All took the last exit. All trapped. We're scattered along the road. Sometimes we meet. Pass each other. Exchange information. Theories. No one has answers. No one has found escape. Carlos forced himself to breathe, to think logically. Okay. There's explanation. We're drugged, hallucinating. This is some kind of shared psychotic episode. I thought that too. Days 7 through 12. Tried everything to wake up. Pinching, hurting myself, screaming. Nothing worked. Because this isn't hallucination. This is real. The last exit is real, and we're here. We're stuck. We're probably going to be stuck forever. No. Carlos put his car in drive. No, I refuse to accept that. I'm driving. I'm finding an end. Go ahead, Alice said. Her voice held pity. Everyone does at first. The denial stage. Drive until you accept. Then come find me. I'll be here. Driving. Always driving. Carlos drove. Fast. 80 miles per hour. 90. The road remained identical. Empty desert. Cracked asphalt. No landmarks. No variations. His odometer ticked up. 50 miles. 70. 100. Nothing changed. The road continued. The desert continued. The trap continued. He stopped. Screamed. Punched the steering wheel until his hands hurt. Checked his gas. Quarter tank. Checked his phone. No signal. Checked the time. 4:23 a.m. He'd been driving for 36 minutes since meeting Alice. That should have moved time significantly. But it had barely progressed. Time was wrong here. Distance was wrong. Physics was wrong. This was nowhere. This was the between. This was the place the last exit led. And Carlos was trapped in it. He saw headlights ahead. Another car, approaching. They pulled alongside. An old man, white beard, kind face. He rolled down his window. New arrival? He asked. Richard? Carlos guessed. That's me. Alice told you about me. Met her 20 minutes ago. She said there's no escape. Richard nodded. Alice is practical, accepts reality quick. Me, I took 3 months to accept. Drove until my mind broke, then drove some more. Finally stopped fighting. Started just existing. It's peaceful once you accept. No stress, no bills, no obligations. Just driving through eternity. 3 months, Carlos said. You've been here 3 months. 7 now, Going on 8. Lost count. Time is weird here. Stretches. Compresses. I've lived years in these 7 months, or maybe minutes. Hard to say which. This can't be real. This can't be happening. Said the same thing, Richard said. Everyone does. But it is real. It is happening. You took the last exit. That was a choice. A bad choice. Wrong turn. And now you're here. Now you'll always be here. Unless... Unless what? Richard's face went strange. Unless you take a lower level. Unless you descend. The exit ramps go down. Keep going down. Level after level. Some people think there's a bottom. Think that at the deepest level, there's an escape. A way out. Back to the world, but what? But I've met people who descended. Met them before they went down. They never came back up. Never found their way. And sometimes, late at night, I hear things from the lower levels. Sounds, screaming, engines, crashes. Things. Things that might be worse than endless driving. So most of us stay here. Top level, safe level, empty but predictable, better than what's below. I'm going down, Carlos said. Desperation made him bold. I'm finding the exit, the real exit, the way out. Your choice, Richard said. But advice, don't descend past level 5. People who go past 5 don't come back, don't even make sounds anymore. They're just gone, swallowed by whatever's at the bottom. Level 4 is bad enough. Stay above 4 if you can. Carlos drove, found an exit ramp. It descended. He took it. Down and down and down. Level 2 looked identical to level 1. Same desert, same road, same emptiness. He continued. Found another ramp. Descended to level 3. Level 3 was different. The desert was darker here. The sky, if it was sky, had a red tint. And there were structures, not buildings. Structures, impossible geometric shapes that hurt to look at. They rose from the desert at irregular intervals. Carlos couldn't determine their size. They seemed small and vast simultaneously. Perspective didn't work right. He drove faster. Found an exit. Level 4. Richard had warned against level 4, but Carlos needed answers, needed escape. He descended. Level 4 was wrong, fundamentally wrong. The road existed, but it wasn't asphalt anymore. It was something else, something organic. It moved slightly under his tires, pulsed, breathed, and the desert was gone, replaced by darkness. Total darkness. His headlights penetrated maybe 10 feet. Beyond that, nothing. Just black void. Carlos heard sounds, engines, multiple engines, cars driving nearby. But he saw nothing, just heard them, circling, hunting. He accelerated. The organic road pulsed faster. Trying to slow him, hold him, trap him. An exit appeared, level 5. Carlos took it without thinking. Down and down and down, into depths that shouldn't exist, into pressure that built in his ears, into wrongness that made his eyes water and his head pound. Level 5 was hell, not metaphorical, literal hell. Fire rose from cracks in the road, figures moved in the flames, burning but not consuming, screaming eternally. Carlos recognized one, Tom or Sandra, one of the couple Alice mentioned. Trapped in fire, aware, suffering. Carlos slammed the brakes, stopped. This was the bottom, had to be the bottom. Nothing could exist below this. He sat in his car on a burning road and understood that Richard had been right. Descending was worse, infinitely worse. Level 1 was paradise compared to this. But he couldn't go back. The exit ramps only descended. Alice had said so. Richard had confirmed it. Down was the only direction, and Carlos had gone down, had descended past the safe levels into hell itself. A figure approached his car, humanoid. Burning, it tapped on his window. Carlos screamed. The figure tapped again. patient, persistent. Carlos looked at it, saw a face in the flames. Alice's face, Alice burning. But Alice was on level 1. Carlos had met her, talked to her. The burning Alice smiled. "You're not on level 5, she said. Her voice came from everywhere. "You're on level 1. You never descended. There are no levels. There's only road. And the road shows you what you fear, shows you what you expect. You expected hell, so you see hell. But it's just road, endless road, forever road." Carlos blinked. The fire vanished. The burning figures vanished. Level 5 resolved into level 1. Same desert, same road, same emptiness. And Alice stood outside his window, not burning, alive, normal, smiling sadly. "How?" Carlos whispered. "The last exit is the trap," Alice said. "But not in the way you think. There's no descending, no levels, just road and what you project onto it. The trap is mental. You think you're trapped, so you are. You think there's no escape, so there isn't. It's a prison of mind, of belief, of acceptance. So I can leave? I can just drive out?" Alice's smile faded. "Maybe, if you believe hard enough, if you reject the trap. Some say they've done it. Say they escaped, but I've never seen it. Never met anyone who actually left. Just heard stories. Third-hand rumors. Maybe it's possible, maybe it's not. But the trying is worse than accepting. I tried for 37 days, nearly broke my mind. Now I just drive, accept, exist. It's easier." Carlos put his car in drive. "I'm leaving. I don't accept this. I don't believe in the trap." "Good luck," Alice said. She sounded sincere. "If you make it, remember us. Remember the ones still driving, still trapped. Maybe send help. Though what help could reach us here, I don't know." Carlos drove. Believed he was driving toward exit, toward escape, toward the real world. And maybe he was, or maybe he was just driving deeper into the trap. Driving endless road through empty desert while time stretched and compressed, and his mind slowly accepted the unacceptable. This was the last exit. This was the road between, and Carlos would drive it forever. Or escape, or descend into actual hell, or wake up, or die, or exist eternally in the nowhere place where exits led to nothing, and roads never ended, and gas gauges stayed at a quarter tank. He drove, and behind him, Alice watched his taillights fade. Another person trying to escape. Another person who would probably fail. She'd seen dozens try, all failed. All eventually parked beside her and accepted. All became part of the eternal convoy of trapped souls driving the last exit's endless road. But maybe Carlos would be different. Maybe Carlos would find the trick, the secret, the way out. Alice hoped so. She hoped every time. Hope was all she had left. Hope and driving, forever driving, through empty desert on impossible road, trapped by choice, trapped by exit, trapped by the last exit that promised salvation and delivered only endless, eternal, inescapable nowhere.